when we are starting, you will get to know what is happening in and out. Okay, so this is about the dedicated and serverless SQL pools, which we are going to use this. So this is a architectural diagram. Okay, if you use more nodes, again this will get increased more data processing and DTUs, everything it costs actually. Okay, so this is about the serverless and dedicated. Okay, so I'll just represent. So I just explained. So I'm just skipping this. Okay. So this is how the serverless and SQL, right? So basically, what happens? So in a data warehousing process, let me go on here. So here we have represented, right? So all our data warehousing process, how the data will captured and how the data will be utilized and how we are going to do the analytics, everything I have represented, right? Um, so the processing in and out, how it will happen is, so now we learn the DB also, what is the dedicated and serverless, everything, right? So now how many layers of data processing we will do based on our data. So that is also one of the important thing. So let me do this data processing and how we are going to do the data processing in our Synapse layer. So that is one of the important thing which I'm going to explain. So here, so now earlier I have mentioned some sources, right? So these sources are like we have a Oracle and we have a um, IBM DB2, or we have some mainframes, or we have some SAP Ariba. So there are example, these are all various source systems. Okay, so let's take Oracle and we have some SAP and SAP HANA, and we have a Salesforce example. Okay, and these are the various sources, right? So now what will happen? These are all generates one files in the storage account. Okay, so this storage account, how it works? So it keeps all your input feed files in the storage layer. So let me represent all these storages. So here ADLS Gen 2. Okay, so here our storage account is there. So we are keeping all our input feed files. Okay, input files. Okay, so these are all our input files. So see, I'm representing these are the source, but based on your client, you may have one source, might be two sources or more than two sources. It's based on your client. Okay, so some clients, they are having only one source also. Okay, it's not mandatory that we used to have 10 sources on 100 sources. It is based on the client. So how the client is how the client data is getting manipulated based on their source. So we used to um, utilize this storage and data processing. Okay, so now I'm representing these are the sources. So we are generating these files into the Gen 2. So after that, we have a 3-layer architecture process. Okay, so first layer is like we will process the data. It's a raw layer. Okay, so raw layer is like in this raw layer. So what will happen? What is raw layer or stage layer? Okay, stage layer I'll represent. So raw layer is what will happen is you have a CSV file. Okay, so in the CSV file, so let's add the CSV file as an input here. So .csv as an input file, and this input file having example 1000 records. Okay, these 1000 records, record count, example I'm giving, okay? So these are the current transactions and this is the today's file, okay? So this today file, I am having the 1000 records, okay? So these 1000 records, what I will do is, I will load it into the database, okay? So I'll just load this data into here, just adding here. So this 100, whatever file is a source, and I'm loading this into the database. Again, it's Azure DB only, okay? So I just kept into my database the raw layer data, and you are having 1000 records and having the 10 columns in the file. So we are having the 10 columns in the file. So this entire in the raw layer, right? We don't do any data structuring. Okay. So as it is, I am loading this 1000 records into DB. Okay. There is no change, nothing, no column change, nothing. I'm as it is loading this data into the DB, including that 10 columns. Here there is no change in this layer. Now I have another layer. Okay. So this layer is like, I'm going to use it as, so I'll use it as like more structured and semi-structured. So in the semi-structured layer, what I will do is, in this 100 or 1000 records, right? In this 1000 records, I have some duplicates, and as well as I need only the 5 columns. I don't want all the 10 columns. Okay. Example, in the file having, so 10 columns, let me add it here. I'll add the column names. I will add. So customer ID and customer name and location, and so pin code and address and phone number. Okay. And we can take price. What is the price value, and product, and as well as the date when he purchased. I'll just give date, okay? But we need to split this date, okay? So here, what I'm doing, I'm having these many columns. Now in the semi-structured layer, I don't want all these columns. I need only the few columns. For my requirement, I'm going to filter out this data from the table. Now I have loaded this data into a table, right? So this is my table here, customer table. Now file is not the input. dbo dot customer. So we have loaded in the raw layer, right? So this is the table name. So now this table is the input for me. Okay. In this semi-structured layer, so table is the input, dbo dot customer. So now customer, what we are doing, I am taking only the required columns. For my requirement, customer ID is required, and I need a customer name, and I don't want phone number, address, all those things. I don't want require. I don't want. Okay. I need the product. What product he bought? Either he bought, the person bought a system. Let's take on a computer manner. So whether he bought a motherboard or he bought a hard disk or a mouse key, anything. Those are the categories. Um, so those are the products, and the price. Price is required because what is the price and how many items he bought from the store. Okay, so that is the price, and the date. So date I want it to split as um, start date. I'll add start date, and I want the when this person end date. Okay, if it is a offline, online, So I wanted to simulate the flag as well. So these are the extra columns we are so extra columns we are generating based on our input data. See, as it is input data, we don't like columns we don't use. We need to derive the new columns based on the existing columns. Obviously, in the business, you need to derive the new columns based on your requirement, and then we need to derive the new columns, and that new columns are the so semi-structured layer. Obviously, like semi-structured layer, we used to do whatever the client want. We used to cook our data. Okay, so now I have manipulated flag, start date, and end date. Now I need one more column. So the one more column is total price. I want the total price. Okay, I need to calculate the price based on the total price. Okay, sum of the price I need to calculate. Now sometimes they will give the discounts as well, right? So I need to calculate after discount what is the total price. So sometimes if any discounts is applicable. Okay, so these discounts also included in your data. Okay, so this way we will cook our data and we will prepare the data based on our requirement. So this is the semi-structured layer. I have introduced these new columns based on these existing columns. Okay, so these are the new columns I have derived in the semi-structured layer. Now this data is now it's like a 70% of the data I cooked here. So 70% of the data I have processed. Okay, now it is a semi-structured. Now what I am going to do in one more layer, I will add it as a fully structured layer. Okay, okay, so in this fully structured layer, what will happen is, so whatever the data now you have added these many columns you have calculated, right? So again what I will do is I'll keep this data into the another table. Okay, so in the layer wise we will create some tables. Okay, sometimes we can use one table as well. Okay, so here I'm going to use one more table called dbo dot customer underscore stage. Okay, so I'm keeping the table name like this. This is my raw layer table and this is my customer stage table. Okay, so this customer stage table, not sorry, don't here I'm going to add. So this is the input, right? And here is the output actually. So output will be the another table. The table called is dbo dot customer underscore stage. Okay, so this is my another table. So in this table, this is the output table, right? So this output table is input for my fully structured layer. So now this is the input, not this one. Okay, because we have now loaded the processed data into the customer stage because we have filtered out the data. Okay, so two layer filtering is done now. Okay, so now I'm doing the final layer data processing. So in the final layer data processing, fully structured layer, what I will do is I will take this as an input. Okay, I'll take this as an input, this table as an input. So now final kind of data structuring I will do here. What I will do here is, so I will add some more measures. Measures means I'm going to do some more calculations over here. Okay, so here I want only the output is like, so let me add here. So my output contain now CID, So CID and CNAME, and I need the price and total price. In the total price again, what I will calculate is I will take the discount. Total price I will take, but I need the complete discount. Total price. I will calculate now total discount. After discount, um, so total. So in the total price, I will get after discount with total price. These two values combination is the one I'm going to calculate as a total price. Example, your system is some 40K and I have given some 10% as a discount. So after that, it will be like some 48,000 around, or 49, 40,000, right? So 40,000 is your system price and I'm giving some 10%. It will reduce some 1,500 or 2,000. So after that, it is a 38,000, right? So that value should be come over here, the total price. Okay. And I'll add the flag here, flag, and as well as the start date, end, ed date I'm going to create, and as well as the so created date. So created date is a different. So when this record is created, that is very important for me, because I need to trace down when this particular record is created. Obviously, this full load structured layer, fully structured layer, we are having the history data with the current data. Don't confuse here. Let me explain here. This is the historic data, whatever the fully structured is there, right? So I'm going to represent dbo dot, I'll represent it as a dimension underscore customer. So dimension underscore customer, this table contains basically current transaction, current trans plus historic. Both will be there in this table. In the fully structured data, every day whatever the data we are getting, that data will be there. And when your company started or when you started the data ingestion, that date to till date, we are having the current and historic. It is more like incremental table. So incremental tables, you may already aware, hope everyone. So every day we used to hold our historic and with the current transactions, right? So if a new transaction comes, it inserted, any historic transaction comes, it should be updated, right? Um, okay, so let me explain here some